Public affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcomed. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
The Saratoga City Council meeting, an inside look at the decisions that affect you and our community.
Good evening. Welcome to September 4th, 2018 City Council meeting. We are meeting in the City Center meeting room due to the fire at City Hall. We have 2 public hearings tonight. The first public hearing is 2019-2024 capital budget and program. If you'd like to comment on that, there is a microphone right at the center. Please approach the microphone. Thank you. This is only for budget. This is a public hearing, not public comment. I'll let you know. Thank you. Okay, if nobody's going to comment on that, I will close that public hearing and on to our next public hearing, zoning map amendment, Tate Lane and Allen Drive. And I'd like Libby Carino to give us a little overview.
I had my PowerPoint. I'm not sure what I... Take just a second. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. Again, my name is Libby Carino. I'm a partner with Carter Conboy here in Saratoga Springs. I'm going to just move out of the way here because I brought my remote, and I'm not sure if everybody can see this, but I hope you can. If not, I have a physical copy here with me tonight. I'm here on behalf of NRP Group, as well as Denton Road LLC, which is the owner of some parcels out here. And again, I'm sorry for the inability to see, but
Maybe we can turn some lights down for you.
would that be? I'm just
not sure where they are.
I know we're in all new territory here tonight, so.
Yeah, we have basic switches.
On off.
Dim them. Okay, well, I could see it from here. So now we got it brighter.
So if we look along the northern edge of the map, that's Route 9N, and you can see the train tracks, sort of the wide gray area along the right-hand side, and in the red are the parcels that were selected for this application for rezoning, and the parcels in yellow are the ones that are coming in upon the recommendation from the Saratoga Springs Planning Board to also be included in this rezoning consideration. So we've provided the new tax parcel ID numbers off to the left for the council because that's new from the last time we were here. The basic proposal is to take the T4 across the street, which is the lawn and garden store, and pull it down to this warehouse, which is shown in, and I don't know, John, is there a pointer? Is there like lighting? Yep. Anyway, this wedge-shaped purple parcel is warehouse district. The 3 largest parcels inside of there remain vacant. And the idea here is to pull the T4 down across 9N and allow for a transition between the UR4A over to the T5, which is what you see in red. And there's several reasons for this, but not the least of which is that accessibility is an issue, and the parcels down at the little part of the wedge, the little part of the blue, the purple, are already existing to support the rail yard and is it storage lane as part of the rail tie. So a little bit of a difference there, and so that cutoff, as we're proposing it, this is the northern edge of that wedge piece. Okay, so the current conditions are we're zoned warehouse district. The permitted uses are manufacturing, self-storage, and warehousing. Again, difficult uses because of the site access. We're mostly vacant, and the rest are single-family residential, so no other warehouse use in that zone. We believe that rezoning to the T4 will make all current uses more conforming and will increase potential on the vacant site. On May 25th, an advisory opinion was received by the Saratoga County Planning Board. On June 25th, one received by the City Planning Board. Summary of those recommendations include including Saratoga Affordable Housing Group in the lots to rezone, which you saw in yellow. The proposal is consistent with the comp plan, traffic, utilities, and economic implications to be part of the seeker discussion, and that all neighbors should be on notice, which we did for our neighbors in April of 2018, and I imagine has been extended now by way of this public hearing. Next steps, public hearing is tonight. We'd ask that the council consider completing seeker review on the application, and then the next step would be a city council vote on the map amendment. So that's where we stand. I wanted to thank the council for its time, and I will sit. Thank you.
Thank you. If anybody'd like to speak on this, please step forward to the mic.
Hello, Council. My name's Bill Teeter. I'm a resident, 3 Aurora Avenue, Saratoga Springs. I'm party to contracts for 2 parcels directly adjoining this site across Allen Drive, directly north or directly west of the sites across Allen Drive in the presentation. They're the 2 blank parcels just north of the SAG yellow shaded groups. And I'd like to suggest that those should be added as well to the Transect 4 zone. Those 2 parcels are currently dated, underutilized rental properties that are single story. Again, in terms of the aspects that were framed here, creating more multi-use and mixed-use opportunity, fronting Church Street right there, in particular on parcel that's right on 9N Church Street, is really a great connectivity to the T5 zone and in spirit of the rezoning that's being contemplated here. So that's all. I just requesting that 2 parcel numbers. I have the numbers with me. They're 1.65.9-1-6 and -7. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. Tim Grandy. I'm an adjacent property owner in this warehouse district, and I just had some questions about the map or the artist rendering that was submitted back in April, where they designated with an arrow on the southerly border, southwesterly border in that purple wedge. They had an arrow indicating a potential access point, and I wasn't sure about the details of what that exactly entailed, and if there was any provision for additional buffering or additional tree setback area between the 2 zones, because of the use in the warehouse zone is primarily commercial. There's a lot of tractor trailers and plowing at odd hours, and of course area lights and things of that nature, which may be disruptive to the new residential community there. So I didn't know if they had planned on putting a berm, an earthen berm or something like that to help protect the noise and other activities that might be going on in the warehouse district. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Are we closing this tonight? Okay, so we'll be closing this public hearing, and we'll be moving on to our agenda for tonight. Roll call, please.
Present.
Present.
Here.
Here.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is the public comment period. I would ask that you try to keep your comments brief, 2 minutes maximum. Public comment period will last for 15 minutes. Please be respectful to the speakers while they're addressing the council, and please address the council as a whole. Anyone who wishes to address the council upon any issue may now come forward and state your name and address and provide your comments.
Good evening. My name is Holiday Hammond. My address is 23 Leffert Street, Saratoga Springs, New York. I have lived in Saratoga Springs for 26 years. I'm a clinical social worker, I am a parent, and I am co-chair of MLK Saratoga, an organization dedicated to working for true equality and justice for all. I first want to acknowledge Patty Jackson, the mother of Daryl Mount. She was expecting to be here tonight but could not. Daryl Mount tragically died after sustaining injuries during a police pursuit 5 years ago on August 31st, 2013. I extend my heartfelt condolences to Ms. Jackson and her family for their unimaginable loss. I also want to publicly apologize to the family for not paying closer attention to the circumstances of her son's death and reaching out to her to assist her in getting the answers she deserves. As a mother, what happened to her, losing her 21-year-old son, is my worst nightmare. Not knowing what really happened that night, not having answers that you can trust about what led to his premature death, is my second worst nightmare. I ask every parent in this room to consider what you would need for your peace of mind if you were told your child was found in the condition Daryl Mount was, lying face down on the ground, motionless, unconscious, bloodied face, and no one to explain what happened. I now turn to the City Council and implore you, as well as all city officials, past and present, involved in this debacle, to acknowledge that the circumstances of Daryl Mount's ultimately fatal injuries warranted and still warrant an immediate external investigation as mandated by New York state law, as should the serious injury or death of any human being during a police action. Given new information about the public being misled about an internal investigation, there's a greater breach of trust that needs to be addressed as well.
That's 2 minutes. Thank you.
You guys good? I'll have to listen later. Hi, my name is Don Colosimo. I live at 55 Waterview Drive. I have a question for you guys. The city has a property, 29 plus acres, at the corner of Crescent Ave and East Cateros. I was wondering what the plans were for that. You've been looking at property along Union Ave for east side safety facility, and the people who own property on there are the Otto, Andersons, the Congressional Yasiva, which are property they tried to buy before, Saratoga National, Snyder, and Belmonte. Most of that property is not buildable. And most of the property is that don't want to deal with you folks. So why don't you consider the property you already own down on Crescent Ave? It's 29 acres, nice road, county-owned road. It's a good facility, good place to be.
Thank you.
My name is Doralee Stanley, and I am a resident of Saratoga Springs on Meadow Lane, 40-plus years. I'm here to support the family of Darrell Mount and the citizens of Saratoga Springs based on the actions regarding this issue regarding the family. I have two asks of the City Council. One, what is the City Council going to do regarding the misconduct of our police chief by lying to us citizens that there was an internal investigation, yet there was none? Number two, when will the City Council authorize an external investigation by a non-biased third party? This is a serious matter for the citizens of Saratoga Springs and the reputation of our police department, and deserves your attention to investigate and hold officers in a leadership position accountable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ellen Egger-Imany. I live at 106 Elm Street. I'm here tonight as a citizen activist as well as a co-leader of our local indivisible group, Saratoga Progressive Action. I am very concerned with the recent events involving Mr. Mount's death during the police chase 5 years ago. I have great respect for the police force here and for Chief Veach. As an activist and someone that has put on many events, they have always been extremely helpful and supportive whenever we have an event in the community. However, I would expect that any incident that includes severe injury or death would be thoroughly investigated. I also understand that the family specifically requested such an investigation. To learn now, 5 years later, that not only was an investigation not completed, but that Chief Veach and Commissioner Mathieson lied and then covered up that an internal investigation was done betrays the public trust. Chief Veach admitted under oath that no investigation was ever done, and they had lied to the media. This action now becomes the focus of our concerns. I wonder about what we would have learned or not learned should there have never been a case against the city in civil court. I respectfully request that now a complete investigation be undertaken by an independent group to both investigate the original incident as well as the misleading actions of Chief Veach and Commissioner Mathieson. And while I welcome your input to make positive changes in your policy, in the spirit of transparency, and as an activist, I will be filing a complaint with the Attorney General's office. Thank you.
Thank you.
Name's Ron Rooker, 2 Sunset Drive, Saratoga Springs, New York. I want to thank the council. 2 weeks ago, I approached the mayor and Skip about having John McCain Day on November 10th. Okay. I was on the USS Wasp and that got decommissioned. No fault myself, and then I was on the USS Intrepid. John McCain also flew aboard the USS Intrepid October 1960. He started his military career in 1958. 1958. Northway wasn't here. I was going into Division Street School then. Skidmore had dorms up and down Union Avenue, 1958. Us old guys, Woodstock, not for another 10 years. What he did was in 1958, we just did the Pledge of Allegiance. It's an oral contract between us and our government. John McCain in 1958, whenever you go in the service as a serviceman.
Sir, can you please address the council, not the audience?
Okay, sorry about that. Whenever you go in the service, it's serviceman oath or officer's oath. He said, I will support, defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I'll bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I take this obligation freely. The Intrepid in 1999 honored John McCain with the Intrepid Freedom Award. It recognizes distinguished leaders who promotes the value in freedom. of democracy. May 23rd for a week this year was Fleet Week. On the 24th of May, the Intrepid closed down at 4 o'clock. They had dinner in honor of John McCain. Honored his unparalleled legacy of bravery, sacrifice, and service with the Intrepid Lifetime Achievement Award. What he did was, he took that oath in 1958 to protect the Constitution. And he protected it not for Arizona, for all of us. If you go back to June 25th, 2017, when he spoke in front of Congress, he was defending the Constitution then. I would like Veterans Day being November 11th and John McCain Day being November 10th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Landon Moore. I live with my mother on 144 Crescent Street, Saratoga Springs. Mayor Kelly, I'm still waiting for you to come to church and hear me preach sometime. I'm here echoing these three ladies who said their piece. That was wonderful. But I also want to have a conversation about what we are doing as a community to do a continuing education program for our police officers so that they can know about police brutality and excessive force, and if there is an educational program in play so that our society in Saratoga Springs will not embody what is going around in the rest of the world currently. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Darlene McGraw. I live in Saratoga Springs. I am not going to talk specifically about the Darrell Mount case. I don't know enough about that. I wasn't officially living here at that time, and that's not something I was interested in. But I do want to make sure that you guys know the police department now has other resources. New York State just passed a law for police officers and when they come in contact with those individuals with autism. So if you guys can, you guys can either research that or contact me. Great job with what you've done so far with City Hall. You didn't really have much time to notice what was going on, but you did great. And the other thing I wanted to say is, you guys, I've only rode the bus with a few of you guys, employees with City Hall, and you guys know who you are. But the affordable housing you guys have over there on West Ave, near Washington Street, that is not accessible by the bus on a regular basis. That bus hardly ever runs, okay? And you want affordable housing, well, workforce housing, I don't know what those words mean. I know what numbers mean. I don't know what words mean. I want the city to announce to the public, not just to me, but to everybody. What's the numbers? Is it how much of a percentage of your income, or how does that work out? I just want to know what the numbers are. I don't want to know words, letters. I don't understand letters and words. I understand numbers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andrew Bozio. I live in Saratoga Springs. Like others who live here and who have spoken tonight, I was appalled to learn that Police Chief Veach had lied to the public about the existence of an internal investigation when in fact there was none. It's not clear to me why an internal investigation was not conducted when it is the policy of the police department to do such a thing. And the fact that it was not, and the fact that Police Chief Veach subsequently misled the public about this, raises serious questions about the honesty and the transparency of Saratoga Springs Police Department. Like others who have spoken tonight, I want to know what the City Council is going to do to hold Police Chief Veach accountable for his actions in misleading the public. And I also want to know what the City Council is going to do to restore our trust in the police department. Some of these suggestions that were proposed earlier about educating police, about non-lethal use of force and other matters would be welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Ian Klebatar, 11 Alger Street. Nice to see you all. I guess I'm here today I know it's not on the agenda, but to to try to encourage the council to put a stop to the creation of these parking structures that are being built in Saratoga Springs. Enrique Penalosa, who is the mayor of Bogota, Colombia, said it best. He said, we can make our cities great for people, or we can make our cities great for cars, but we can't pick both. And every time we build a parking structure, we're inviting people to drive their cars more. So whether we invest $1 million or put down bike lanes, make our cities more walkable, we're still inviting more cars into our cities. We're creating a greater supply. There was people that came into our city, and it was unanimous that the problem wasn't we didn't have enough parking spots, because we do. If you've looked at how many spots we have, there's enough cars for people to park here. The distribution of our parking spots is the problem here in Saratoga Springs. And we have the potential here of actually building a community destination in this High Rock area. We could have a theater area where bands could perform. We could have a place. We could have an amazing playground. Where do kids gather downtown? They go to Congress Park, but we need a playground there. That's a community destination. No one's going to show up to Saratoga Springs to spectate 750 cars that are just sitting there with no one on them. And if this is a community destination, maybe we should have a viewing area so people can see all these cars, because this will probably be the biggest parking structure around. So I would encourage the council to put a stop to all assistance, all financial assistance, and all support in moving these parking structures forward, and try to open up a greater vision for what we can do at the High Rock area. I think currently we have 6 publicly funded parking lots and 3 publicly funded car parking garages in the urban core of Saratoga Springs.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, Council. My name is Sam Brewer. I live on Lake Avenue in the city, and at the last meeting during the charter review meeting, I spoke about the need to create a police oversight committee or a public safety oversight committee. And those remarks were taken by the newspapers and applied to the Mount situation. I hadn't necessarily intended that, although it is applicable. The newspaper articles were informative, and I went back and I read through what was in the public body of knowledge regarding that incident and the chief's subsequent remarks. And I do have to say that it seems that the chief was being overprotective over the department instead of trying to find the truth of what happened there, or to make sure that he was open and straightforward with the citizens of Saratoga Springs. So I'd like to continue to encourage the council to create a police or public safety oversight committee, which will prevent these types of events from happening in the future, because notionally the panel would be able to make personnel changes in the police department, fire department, to avoid these types of situations. I think that it's time for the council to make a change there from a personnel standpoint. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then we'll be closing public comment. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a couple of items. I'll start with Don Colissimo. We've looked at the, is this on?
I think so.
We've looked at the property that you referenced on Crescent and East Cateros. There's a couple of problems with it, but primarily it's the part of the street that it's on. It's on a very, very narrow part of Crescent Avenue. It's on a part that is winding its way up a hill, and for the type of trucks that we would need to provide that type of service, both EMS and fire service to the city, it is not the optimal spot. I mean, I appreciate your concern and your thought that, yes, the city does already own this piece. We may be back to it, but I will tell you it's not the optimal spot that may be available to the city. Now I'd like to address the comments made by Holly Hammond, Dorley Stanley, Ellen, Landau Moore, and I think you said your name was Ed? Sorry, I missed. Ed? Oh.
Andrew,
thank you. I've prepared to address these in a couple of ways. It's a little bit lengthier than I would do normally in a response to public comment, so they're actually a part of my presentation that's scheduled. They're items 4 and 5, I think, on my presentation. So I guess I'm going to ask for your patience and wait till we get to my section of the City Council meeting, and then I will address those items.
okay. We can close this public comment, and then we can move your items up if you want.
That would be okay, too. I mean,
Okay. So any other discussion? Okay, then we'll close public comment, and we'll move into the consent agenda. Oh, wait a second. Hang on.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pennell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pennell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcomed. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pennell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
Charter review. I'm going to do a charter review first. Charter review update. Thank you.
Good evening. Just briefly, since the last City Council meeting where we also held the public forum, the Charter Review Commission has met on 2 occasions where we completed our analysis and ultimately voted unanimously on the revisions that will be submitted to the voters in November. I have since gone through the process of actually finalizing the document, which will include the deletions and revisions to the charter that will be submitted to the city clerk and ultimately to the Board of Elections. And in that process, going through line by line and word by word, I did come across a few examples where there would be some typographical issues, some grammatical issues, and ultimately I made those changes. But the Charter Review Commission is going to be meeting tomorrow at 11 a.m. at the Canfield Casino to just review and approve those changes, and then ultimately the document will be filed with the clerk. It's important to note also that we did determine, in accordance with state law, that the topic, which did receive much discussion, of adding 2 council members at large will actually be presented to the voters as a separate question. So the ballot in November is going to contain the initial question of, shall the Saratoga Springs Charter be amended as proposed by the 2018 Charter Review Commission? And then there will be a subsequent question, shall the Saratoga Springs City Charter be further amended to provide for 2 additional city council members whose authority shall be legislative only? So we're continuing with this process. The document will be filed this week. Our next meeting is September 12th, and we will then be discussing the educational component and community outreach. So, thank you.
Thank you. We had another presentation, 2019-2024 capital budget program, and we're not going to be presenting that tonight. We do not have an executive session, so on to our consent agenda. I move that the City Council accept the consent agenda as included on the agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes. I will defer to public safety if you want to bring your 2 items forward.
Sure. So the first item is a response to the publicity concerning the 5th anniversary of the Darrell Mount incident. There have been several reports in the press involving the 5th anniversary of the incident on Caroline Street, which ended in first the significant injury and then eventually the death of a young man, Darrell Mount. In addition, some family members, including his mother and supporters, gathered on the steps of City Hall on Friday evening to express their concerns. First, let me say that I am concerned about the injury or death of anyone in Saratoga Springs that's associated with activity of our police department. And I can truly understand, fortunately I have not had to live through, but I can understand the grief of a mother who has lost a young son. Second, I want to confirm that I am certainly aware of and sensitive to the impact of race issues on the interaction of police agencies and municipalities across the United States. And finally, also, as the council knows, the incidents around the injury and subsequent death of Darrell Mount are now the subject of a civil lawsuit. So therefore, my words here will have to be somewhat measured and somewhat brief. The family and others, we had talked about an external investigation. And first of all, the family and others did request an investigation into the incident. In fact, the family made requests of investigations to both the FBI and the New York Attorney General. And it's my understanding that both of these agencies decided not to conduct any further investigation. I've reviewed notes and statements that indicate that the Department of Public Safety also reported about the incident to the District Attorney's Office. And again, that agency determined not to conduct an investigation. I guess I'd like to point out that actually none of these outside agencies require the acquiescence or the invitation from the city to conduct an investigation. They have the ability to investigate as they see fit. Generally, these agencies will not undertake an investigation of a local police force unless they see and determine that there is some indication of wrongdoing. The issue of an investigation was raised again in the front page article of the Albany Times-Union on Sunday, August 26th, and then subsequently in several other news organizations. In part, the focus of this article was on the lack of an internal investigation, despite a statement that had previously been made by the Chief of Police otherwise. Although this incident took place 5 years ago, I have interviewed several city employees and our litigation counsel, and I reviewed many of the deposition transcripts from this civil case. I can assure you that the department conducted a thorough, broad-based investigation of the incident, although it did not designate this as an internal investigation. The family of Darrell Mount have examined all of the police officers and other city employees involved through their attorney in depositions under oath. Promptly after the incident, the Public Safety Department published pertinent statements and photos for the public on its webpage. There really is no more information that could be gathered with respect to an internal investigation at this time. Chief Veach has published a response to the Times-Union article on the police department's social media pages, and this response has been picked up and republished by several area news agencies. I believe that his published response is totally honest, and I would recommend that interested members of our community, if they have not read it, please do read his response. I will be reposting all of the materials that had previously been posted on the police webpage. And I have to admit, I've encountered a little delay because we're out of City Hall right now, and it's a little bit difficult getting some of those materials together. But I will be reposting those as quickly as I can, as well as I will add additional source material from this litigation that I will publicly post on our webpage. Now, another line of inquiry from the family and the press involves the initiation of a citizens review board. And this takes me to the next item on my agenda. I have stated publicly, as Mr. Brewer indicated, and I continue to adhere to my statement, that I do not believe that a Citizens Review Board would be beneficial to the city of Saratoga Springs or to its residents. Let me explain why. Citizen review boards have grown popular over the past decade, particularly since 2010, following a rash of highly controversial police actions, particularly those in Ferguson, Missouri, Baltimore, Maryland, and New York City. In 2015, the Obama administration released a report discussing the creation of such panels by local police departments. However, the report expressly states that it lacks strong evidence that the panels work. It then fails to go into any detail about the benefits of the panels outside of the assertion that they build trust between law enforcement and the community. Granted, an important goal, but I think there's other ways to accomplish that goal. There have been a few problems with the panels that have been initiated. And some of these citizens review boards have become overly political and really stand out. In the city of Charlottesville, Virginia, they recently established a police civilian review board. The city council has the power to appoint to this 9-person board. The process has been rife with controversy throughout the summer of 2018. The controversy has primarily surrounded the population of that board. The council and the community have found themselves at loggerheads over who will sit on the board. The city of Memphis, Tennessee, has also had extensive controversy surrounding its recently created Civilian Law Enforcement Review Board. Memphis's police director, its equivalent of a police commissioner, has refused to agree to any of the Citizen Law Enforcement Review Board's recommendations. The popular opinion is that the board has recommended disciplinary actions against officers purely for political purposes in instances, in those instances where they have made recommendations. This has led the press in Memphis to refer to the board as a dog and pony show. One area where the citizens review boards, whatever they're called, has consistently run into issues surrounds disclosure of employee personnel records. Both federal law and the contract that Saratoga has with the PBA prevent disclosure of many of these types of records and polygraph testing. The Saratoga PBA contract does not generally speak to this specific issue, short of provisions surrounding the polygraph testing. But I can tell you that if we were to start a citizens review board, it would require both changes to our city charter as well as to the contracts with our police officers. Recently, Melanie Trumbull from the New York Civil Liberties Union published a viewpoint in the Times-Union urging Saratoga Springs to adopt a civilian review board. Although I didn't find this viewpoint particularly well researched or written, it actually does point out some of the extensive and expensive tools that are required in order to make a civilian review board work. Subpoena power, paid staff, including counsel and civilian investigators, the ability to overrule the police commissioner, resources to conduct public campaigns, and the ability to impose sanctions, including fines, reprimands, suspensions, and dismissals. This all involves significant expense and would involve renegotiating union contracts and revising our city charter. In short, it would be difficult for us to implement a civilian review board to deal with what turns out to be a very few complaints about our police action. What I do propose instead is I will be instituting an advisory board to help myself and the police commissioners and the police get feedback from and and advice from citizens around Saratoga Springs. I'll be working with the public over the course of the next several weeks to come up with the members for the Citizens Advisory Board. My initial thought is that the board should meet at least twice per year, and then in addition, if there are any incidents that come to the public attention that need discussion, that we would also call the advisory board together at that time. I think for a city like Saratoga Springs, where there already is a mechanism in place where there is civilian overview of our police department, which is what our city council provides for, what our city charter provides for now, that this is a more practical solution and one that I am going to engage upon immediately. So those are my comments. And I don't know if the council has anything further on this.
Anybody have any comments?
Only to thank you for that, very thorough overview of what's transpired. I know you had contacted me about making sure we could have some information on the website. Unfortunately, over the last 5 years, we redid the city website and integrated the police department website in with the city's website. So some of the content that was on the old police department website was inadvertently somewhat removed. So I know you're looking at getting some information to put back onto the website for the public. I agree with you right now with the Public Safety Advisory panel. So thanks.
All set?
I remain available. I'm happy to talk to any of you individually or jointly if you'd like to discuss this. Thank you.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcomed. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
Great. Back to the Mayor's Department. My first item is the discussion and vote 2019-2024 capital budget program. I would, at this time, I'd like to thank Deputy Mayor Lisa Shields for leading the committee's work on behalf of this year's program. Motion is, I move that the City Council approve the 2019-2024 capital program as presented and voted by the Capital Committee. This is a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? I'm going to start the discussion. I feel at this time that we're not going to be voting on the capital budget because we have too many other things going on at City Hall. We had the fire, we have fiscal responsibility to get that up and running, and at this time we're going to probably just hold off and look at this capital budget items as we go down the road getting through the fire. So I will be voting no for the capital budget so we could wait and figure out our finances through this fire.
And I certainly agree with you, Mayor. Under the circumstances, with the fire at City Hall and, the physical responsibility that we may have to encounter, in the future, I think that's the prudent thing to do is kind of put the capital program on the back burner. Needless to say, that everybody that worked on, including people from my department, did a great job putting the program together. But I just don't think that it's at this particular point in time the prudent thing to do. So I won't be supporting it either.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
I'd like to, similar to Commissioner Scirocco, I think probably Commissioner Scirocco and I have the most items on and the largest dollar figures on the proposed capital budget. But none of us were able to anticipate that lightning would strike City Hall, that the damage that would be done as a result of that lightning strike would be as significant as it was. And I just don't think it would be prudent at this point to be adopting that budget that a lot of people put a lot of good work into, but just didn't anticipate this unexpected act of God.
Yes, I agree. I still can't look at my deputy, though.
No, so a lot of good work really went into that, the capital budget and capital program. It's one of our longer-term programs. It's a 6-year program. It outlines a lot of priorities for the city, and I don't want it to be left out there that those priorities don't still exist. They do. We happen to have an emergency situation. City Hall was struck by lightning. We have a lot of water damage. There will be a capital budget in 2019 that will be presented to the City Council vis-a-vis the comprehensive budget that the Commissioner of Finance puts out on October 2nd. But right now, we need some flexibility as a City Council to look at a lot of the priorities that have been outlined by all of the departments. And those are good priorities. And if we can help assist and fund them as a council, we will. But our priority right now does have to be the building, and that's going to be a large capital expense. So I appreciate that the council is supportive of not necessarily passing on to the Commissioner of Finance a voted on and approved capital budget and program, but I'd like to keep the program in place. It is a working document that many people throughout City Hall have spent the better part of this year working on and have outlined a lot of priorities, as I said, and so those priorities, we still want to stand by those priorities. So what will happen now on October 2nd, when I present the comprehensive budget, is I will start to meet with the different departments between now and then and see what we can do about including some of those priorities if possible, but mainly we'll be looking at what we have to spend or expend on getting City Hall back up and running. I would like to say that water and sewer sort of fall outside of the general operating budget, property tax rate, and I'd like us to be able to go forward and bond the water and sewer projects that were outlined in the 2019 capital budget and program. We didn't really have that discussion, but I'll bring that forward with the comprehensive budget as well.
Yeah, I totally support the capital program and budget, but we'll also have to vote no. Many, maybe all of these items will be in the comprehensive budget, but we just don't have enough information right now with the total cost. And if we do some updates in the City Hall building, we're going to have to go out to bond. We also have an issue potentially with the 2% amount that we can bond, so we have to look at the legality of that also. I just think, and usually we would have met with Commissioner Madigan back in August to go over our budget, and because of all these situations that have happened, she's going to be hard pressed to, she's going to have to really consolidate this in a much smaller time period. And I think we'll have a lot more information 30 days from now of, where we are. And then at that point, I'll go with whatever the recommendations that Commissioner Madigan feels that these items should be put in to the comprehensive budget and voted on. And I think this will be an ongoing process over the next month to month and a half. So I'll unfortunately have to vote no myself.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no.
No.
Any abstention? The matter does not pass. On to my second item. Is an announcement that the 9/11 Remembrance Ceremony will be Tuesday, September 9th at 8:30 a.m. at High Rock Park, and the public is welcome. I'm sorry, the 11th, September 11th. Good catch. Okay. My next item is a discussion and vote accept donations for the 9/11 Remembrance Ceremony. I move that the City Council accept the donations as attached to the agenda. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
These are two donations. One is from Dean's Flowers for wreaths that will be used for the 9/11 ceremony at the cost of $150. And Belmonte and Son are donating the chairs for the day at $420. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes. Item number 4 is discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign contract with Northern Broadcasting, Inc., AKA Look TV, to record council and other meetings. This is an agreement in response to being displaced from City Hall. And per Maryland Rivers, the expense will be covered by insurance. Look TV will provide audio-video recording services for the city council, land use boards, and other city meetings as appropriate. This agreement is not to exceed $15,000. I move that the city council authorize the mayor to sign a contract with Northern Broadcasting, Inc., AKA Look TV, to record council and other meetings. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes. My next is an announcement, update City Hall fire. City Hall offices are temporarily relocated because of the water, fire, and smoke damage to the building at 474 Broadway from lightning strike on August 17th, 2018. Although telephone access is not completely restored, non-emergency messages can be left at the main number 518-587-3550, and also at individual extensions, and voicemails will be forwarded as appropriate. Police Department continues to operate at 5 Lake Avenue. Fire Station 1 and 2 continue operating at 60 Lake Ave and 166 West Ave, respectively. City Hall offices and operations have now been relocated as followed. City Center, at 15 Vanderbilt Ave you can go there for parking tickets, the planning department, building department, city clerk, licensing and vital records, assessment, tax collection, utilities, engineering, and civil service. The offices that I just listed are available to the public during normal business hours, 9 to 5 on Monday, 9 to 4:30 Tuesday through Friday. The administrative and business offices for the Departments of Finance, Accounts, Public Works, and the Mayor's office are located at the Recreation Center. At the Mill at 125 High Rock Avenue, the Police Command personnel, city legal staff, Commissioner of Finance, Public Safety, and deputies of Finance and Public Safety will be located there. Lake Avenue Fire Station at 60 Lake Avenue, the code enforcement, the administrative offices for public safety, and risk and safety are located at this facility. We will continue to provide regular updates, and thank you for your support and patience.
Mayor, can I just add, just as a reminder, especially if this goes out on Look TV, that right now is tax collection time. I got a lot of calls today about where people should pay their property taxes. I know you just said it, but it is at the rec center. And I'll have that on the front page of the website soon, too.
Great. Anything else? Okay, I would like to add an item. I'd like to make a motion to add an item. I'd like to add, I move that the City Council approve the discussion and vote item to rescind the emergency declaration. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes. I don't think Chief Williams is here. Am I good?
No. Now you need to actually do it.
Now there you go. Okay. I move that the City Council rescind the declaration of emergency effective immediately by ending the emergency. The emergency management plan is also no longer in effect with regards to the incident. This is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes. That concludes my agenda.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pennell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pennell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcomed. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pennell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
On to accounts.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item is discussion and vote authorization for Mayor to sign a contract with Alpine Environmental for work in City Hall. This is for emergency asbestos testing in City Hall after the lightning strike and fire. This expenditure has been approved in advance by our insurance company. Other expenditures will be presented to the City Council on a project basis. Therefore, I move to authorize the mayor to sign contract with Alpine Environmental as previously described and is approved in advance by our insurance company. Funding is in A305-1964-54779. It's a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Thank you, Mayor. The second item is discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign a contract with MLB. This is for emergency demolition of the second floor public safety offices, demolition of the Commissioner of Accounts office, Deputy Commissioner of Accounts office, and the Accounts Department bathroom ceilings. This expenditure has been approved in advance by our insurance company. Other expenditures will be presented to the City Council on a project basis. Therefore, I move to authorize the mayor to sign a contract with MLB Industries as previously described and as approved in advance by our insurance company. Excuse me. Funding is in line A305-1964-54779. That's a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Third item is discussion and vote authorization for the mayor to sign a contract with Spring Electric for emergency electrical work in City Hall. This is for emergency electrical work. This expenditure has been approved in advance by our insurance company. Other expenditures will be presented to the City Council on a project basis. Therefore, I move to authorize the mayor to sign the contract with Spring Electric as previously described and as approved in advance by our insurance company. Funding is in line A305-1964-54779. It's a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? The matter passes.
My last item is award of bid Route 9 water main replacement to Bellamy Construction Company, Inc. Upon the recommendation of the Department of Public Works, I move to award the bid for Route 9 water main replacement to Bellamy Construction Company, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $1,066,782. Funding is in line H3638332/52000/1259. It's a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
Thank you, Mayor. That concludes my agenda.
Thank you. On to finance.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item on my agenda is an announcement about the 2019. It's a budget update. So the Deputy Finance Commissioner, Mike Sharp, has spent much of last week finalizing and uploading the requested budgets that we received from all of the departments. He's uploaded this information into the city's financial management software, Munis. And you should all the various departments should expect a copy of their requested budget information for verification shortly. We are a little behind schedule, of course, because of the situation at City Hall. But at this time, I'd like to highlight that 2019 operating budget expense requests are above $50 million, which is roughly a 10% increase from the 2018 adopted budget. So looking at revenue, and this assumes flat property taxes and no usage of fund balance at this time, this is just very high level, we can project roughly $44 million we can project roughly $44 million in revenue, leaving the city with a $6 million revenue gap versus requested expenses. Additionally, requested budgets were submitted before the lightning strike on City Hall and without complete 2019 healthcare quotes, so the expense revenue split at this time could be even could be bigger, larger. It could be a larger increase. I look forward to meeting with each of the departments over the next few weeks to continue reviewing departmental priorities and also discussing capital budget needs and discussing the needs of the building, City Hall itself. We still need to look at contractual expenses need to be accounted for. These contractual salary increases, healthcare costs, and retirement costs are still coming in. Again, that assumes a flat budget with no property tax increase and no use of fund balance. The city is in a healthy fiscal situation with large fund balances, so we have some money to work with. Item number 2 is an announcement. Wait a minute. Let me look at my... Okay, yeah. Item number 2 is announcement, response to a letter in the September 2nd Saratogian regarding the Sci-Fi Network Agreement. The September 2nd edition of the Saratogian included a letter by Kenneth Pakalski that was critical of the recent Sci-Fi Network agreement unanimously approved by the City Council. I realize that responding to every governmental criticism in a newspaper or a blog would make for very long City Council meetings, but there are a few things that I would like to say about this letter and to clear up many misconceptions. First, I'd like everyone to know that Mr. Pakalski works for the Albany-based Business Council of New York State, which is an advocacy group that represents the interests of businesses statewide. Recent articles on their site include a strong position against state pension fund fossil fuel divestment and for a veto against paid family leave expansion. Second, I'd also like to note that nowhere in Mr. Pakalski's letter did he disclose that one of the directors at the Business Council of New York State is also a senior executive at Time Warner Cable. As for the letter itself, Mr. Pakalski has two main claims: that the agreement is unnecessary and that it is too risky. Regarding the first claim, for many city residents and businesses, there's only one option for broadband service. As history has shown time and time again, monopoly-like markets never work out well for customers. Incumbents in these situations don't have any motivation to provide exceptional service, as users have nowhere else to go and often can't quit a specific service entirely. During my time in office, I have consistently heard complaints about broadband availability and customer service in the city, and others on the Council have shared similar interactions. Our goal with the recently signed agreement is to foster a more competitive broadband marketplace through which city residents and businesses, no matter where they reside, receive excellent service they demand at a price they can afford. Regarding the risks of the agreement, I agree with Mr. Pakalski that this agreement has some risks, but that is true with just about every agreement or contract that we sign. Our job as elected officials and the job of several employees across multiple departments who worked on this agreement was to bring forward a document that achieved our stated goal while minimizing any associated risks, which I believe we did. Refuting each of Mr. Pakalski's contractual misrepresentations would take up more of the City Council's time than I believe is appropriate. But in summation, I will say that while we did make several construction phase-related concessions, once completed, Sci-Fi's broadband infrastructure will be on similar footing with other users of the city's right-of-way in terms of permitting, and costs such as property taxes and fees. During the construction, Sci-Fi Networks is also contributing $45,000 annually toward a new engineering employee who will serve as a point of contact between the company and the city, but who will also be free to work on the ever-growing list of engineering demands on city personnel. As for the franchise fee mentioned in the letter, Spectrum currently pays the city a franchise fee based on cable services provided in the city, but this is not for internet or broadband service, which is what Sci-Fi will be providing. In terms of future franchise fees, the amount the city is to receive going forward is likely to decline even if the city did not approve the Sci-Fi agreement, as more people are cutting the cord on their cable service. The research firm eMarketer recently stated that in 2018, they estimate the number of cord cutters in the U.S. will increase 33%, with too little value for their money being the largest driver. In closing, it is unfortunate Mr. Pakalski didn't reach out to anyone in City Hall about the agreement, as we would have addressed some of his concerns had he simply asked. Again, I want to thank all of those across City Hall who worked on this agreement, and I very much look forward to kicking off this project with Sci-Fi Networks. Should anyone, from city residents to the Albany-based lobbying associations, have any further questions, please feel free to contact my office. Thank you. I know, Commissioner, you.
Yeah, and Commissioner, that you pretty much said everything that I was going to, speak about. And I agree totally with what you're saying. I know my department worked on it along with, with your department, some of the other departments, and this process was, again, was well thought out with, with the City Council, and it just made a lot of sense to, to do something like this in the city, if for nothing else, economic development reasons, because we just don't have this type of, this type of service in the city, although they said we did, but, I know I've tried to get it, and I couldn't get, you couldn't get the fiber optics in the city. It doesn't exist, I don't believe. And that's what this would bring into the city. The fact that, they had mentioned that, there was $45,000, I think, for another employee. they paid that $45,000 because we requested to make sure that all the I's got dotted and the T's got crossed. That was something that we decided that we were going to do. We weren't going to let these people go out and work in the right of way and not make sure that things were done properly. Again, I think it's a win-win situation for the city, whether it be 30 years, 60 years down the road. Technology changes. We all know it changes. But for the present, I just feel that it was the right decision to make at this particular point in time. So, thank you for bringing those comments forward, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll be turning this into something for the newspapers. Yep. And, there is a lot going on with technology, and there's wireless technology and 5G, but one thing that will be a constant is fiber. It is the speed of light. It will be in our ground. This is a good thing for the city in the end. So it'll be there 100 years from now, if all continues to go well with this project. Okay, any other comments? All right. Item number 3, discussion and vote, budget transfers contingency. Lines 1 through 3 are a transfer to cover anticipated city center repair and maintenance expenses. The balance in city center contingency prior to this transfer is $4,750, and it will be zero following this approval. I request your approval of the budget transfer contingency as previously distributed with the agenda. This is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The matter passes.
Thank you, Mayor. That completes my agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner. On to Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item on my agenda is a proclamation for honoring Senator John McCain. And at this point, I'd like to read the proclamation, and then if there's any comments from the council, and then I'd like to present it to, I believe, Ron Rucker, who actually asked me at the last city council meeting if we could do something for, do a proclamation. So let me read the proclamation, and then I'll make my comments after. This is a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Saratoga Springs in memoriam of Senator John McCain, 1936 to 2018. Whereas Senator John S. McCain, United States Senator from Arizona, died on Saturday, August 25, 2018. And whereas Senator McCain was a veteran of the United States Navy, a prisoner of war in Vietnam, a congressman and senator, a two-time candidate for president, and a man of unsurpassed courage and character who never failed to stand up and speak out for what he believed was right. He believed in things that matter: respect, honesty, integrity, family, and country. Perhaps the greatest thing about him was that he could appreciate and respect people who strongly disagree with him. To him, that was living in a free and diverse nation was all about. And whereas, although Senator McCain maintained no regular ties to our city, we mourn his loss just as all American mourns his loss. We remember his trust in the people, his speaking the truth regardless of party or politics, and his constantly reminding us that while we have our differences on issues, there are far more things that unite us as Americans than we can ever possibly divide us. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this City Council hereby honors the memory and the legacy of Senator John McCain and declares November 10, 2018 as the Honorable John S. McCain Day. This is dated September 4th, 2018, and it's signed by myself, the Commissioner of Public Works, Anthony J. Scirocco. So with that, I'd like to present a copy of this to Ron Rucker, who asked me to take a picture of this?
Yeah, sure.
Ron, if you want to can we just I'll take a picture?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Because I think that what I'm going to say is we'd like to send a copy of this proclamation to the McCain family too, so they know that we did this, tonight. So.
In front of the table? Yeah.
You want to do it in front of the table real quick?
Or by the flag? Maybe by the flag. Yeah, maybe by the flag might be appropriate.
You want to do your own flag?
Yeah. Good idea. Good idea. It wasn't mine.
Great idea. Flag. Do you want to come over this way? Here, you want to? Yes. Here, let's.
All right. I'll go like this.
Thank you.
Here you go.
Sorry about that, Skip.
Thank
Thank you.
I expect the McCain family to frame that.
Yes.
Fireplace.
I'm in touch with his office in Arizona and Phoenix, so I'll fax this thing tomorrow.
Very nice. Okay.
Okay. And my next item is just a discussion and vote, authorization for the mayor to sign an agreement, Addendum 1, with Surpass Chemical Company. At the June 5th, 2018 City Council meeting, the contract with Surpass Chemical Company was approved for $40,000. Surpass Chemical supplies us liquid sodium hypochlorite, which is chlorine, for our disinfection purposes at the water treatment plant. This was a dry, hot summer, which caused a higher demand for chlorine. We are in need of increasing that amount to $56,000 to meet the product demand needs through the end of 2018. Therefore, I move to authorize the mayor to sign Agreement Addendum 1 with Surpass Chemical Company in the amount of an addition of $16,000 for chemicals at the water treatment plant. Funding is in budget line number F363-8334-54141, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? The matter passes.
And that concludes my agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner. On to public safety.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item on my agenda is an announcement concerning a public safety forum. The Department of Public Safety will hold a back-to-school safety forum on Monday, September 17 at the Saratoga Springs City Center. The forum will take place at 7 p.m. in meeting room number 2. In addition to myself, Deputy Commissioner Daly, Assistant Chief Catone, and other members of the Saratoga Springs Police Department and Traffic Maintenance Department will be on hand to answer questions of not only the parents of students, but also the neighbors of the schools about issues of school safety. The forum will focus on issues such as pedestrian safety, parking, safe pickup and drop-off, etc. The second item on my agenda is just an operational update, and actually the mayor hit on almost all of the issues when you talked about City Hall update. Mm-hmm. So the only thing I'd just like to focus on is that indeed our code enforcement group is up and running, and so they, as always, come to you, come to the public. So if you need them, you can either email them or call them. They are working full-time. The next item on my agenda is announcement of the retirement of Police Sergeant Mark Leffler. Sergeant Mark Leffler retired on August 31 after 24 years of service with the Saratoga Springs Police Department. Sergeant Leffler has been an integral member of the department, managing a major portion of our overnight operations. In fact, I can tell you, Sergeant Leffler called me about a month ago and said that he thought it would really benefit the city if I came out with him on one of his shifts. And so I met him at midnight at the police department, and we worked together from midnight till 5 on Caroline Street, where he was in charge of the shift, and I learned a lot.
How'd you fit in?
He has a tremendous way about him, a tremendous control of the situation, a tremendous empathy for people, and understanding of how the businesses operate there. So I can tell you we're going to miss Mark, but hopefully the excellent working relationship that he's built with our downtown business owners will continue. We commend Sergeant Leffler for his service and congratulate him on a well-earned retirement.
Can I just add? I really like Sergeant Leffler, and it's a big loss to the police department, but good for him. I know he's going on to do some other things, but it's been really nice as an elected official getting to know him over the last few years. So I wish him the best. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. He's been around for a long time, and I've been around the city for a long time, so I agree that he is a very good policeman,
yes,
and he will be missed. So I wish him well.
Great. Thank you. Okay, the last item on my agenda is just to set a public hearing to amend chapter, I missed one.
Bike Summit.
So, I'm sorry, say it again?
Bike Summit?
Oh, Bike Summit. I missed my Bike Summit. Which for some reason is not on my page.
Happened to me too.
Okay.
Do you want to bring it back? Because it's early.
It's just, yeah, it's just an announcement that there will be a bike summit. It's actually a New York statewide bike summit. It's going to be held at the Gideon Putnam. It's going to be held on Thursday and Friday, September 27 and 28. Thank you. I don't know what happened to my notes on it, but it's a great honor for Saratoga Springs to be able to host this bike summit. There'll be a lot learned about how to increase bike usage, how to engineer for safer bike usage. I encourage anyone who's interested in developing the bikeability of our city further to join us and attend this summit. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to my last item, which is to set a public hearing to amend Chapter 118 for the concerning building code enforcement with regard to some technical consistencies. So we recently adopted some amendments to Chapter 118, but we need to further amend those to make them technically correct. And so I'd like to combine that with the other public hearing which we have on this the next 6:55. Thank you.
Is that it, Commissioner?
And that is the end.
Okay, great. Supervisors, way over there. Okay, Supervisor Beach.
Oh.
He's coming.
It's a lot longer of a walk.
I know.
Behind Commissioner Frank at City Council, so I don't know. For one item on my agenda, just very quickly, update on the Saratoga County Trails Committee. We had a meeting last week at Saratoga County offices to award our grants for the 2018 Saratoga County Trails Grant Program. Just a little bit of background, the Trails Grant Program was started in 2015. Back when I was chairman of the Board of Supervisors, we had not done any trails grants up to that point. For the last 3 years, we've been granting out funds to various projects around Saratoga County. In fact, one of them is in the city of Saratoga Springs for the Crescent Ave Connector, which was awarded in 2015. Just to kind of give a quick summary, to date, we have awarded grants totaling $153,000 at Saratoga County for programs across the county, leveraging total project costs of over $1.5 million in trail construction. So a small bit of money for the county, large return when it comes to the program. So this year we had $50,000 in our budget allotted to the Saratoga County Trails Grant Program. Originally we had no money in our budget, but we were able to allot some money in our budget for this year. Luckily we did that because we had 8 trails grants from 8 different communities in Saratoga County, actually asking for $69,000 in funding. So our asks were more than what we had allocated in funding. So the Trails Grant, the Trails Committee has decided to award all of the grants, so they're all going to get a reduced amount, but it's going to be anywhere between, and I'll say this and then qualify it, 72 to 90% or so of what they've asked for, only because there's one past grant that hasn't been spent yet, so we're not sure if we're going to put that money in or not. So regarding the city of Saratoga Springs, we had an application this year for the Bog Meadow Trail improvements, and again, as of at this point, the Trails Committee has granted that award. It still has to go through the county's process of going through the Law and Finance Committee and being approved by the entire board, but I expect those to be on our agenda, well, depending on that other grant and whether it's going to get paid or not, either this month or next month to go forward. So again, a great program that we've done, and hopefully we can keep that going for the next year, but congratulations on getting the grant for the Bog Meadow Trail improvements. And that's
Great.
it for my agenda.
Thank you, Supervisor. That's good news. Supervisor Gaston.
Hi, the first item on my agenda is an update from my trip to the White House. Towards the end of August, I went to the White House to meet with the White House Office of Intergovernmental Affairs, along with other county officials from New York State, representatives from Department of Education, Department of Energy, ICE, Trade, A number of officials were there to talk about the president's policies and how they were going to be enacted. We also got some hints of information that came out later about NAFTA and regarding different trade agreements, but that's old news now. I'm going to be passing out some information to the commissioners with requests for any programs that may impact them. Additionally, we were given specific contacts in the Office of Intergovernmental Affairs in different departments. So if any of the commissioners have any requests that they have from the federal government that may impact us here, I know there was a lot of discussion about policing and work the federal government was trying to assist with that, as well as economic development. I'm happy to pass those contacts along, and these are direct contacts for our municipalities to the White House. For my second item, I'm delighted that recently I was appointed to the Veterans and Military Affairs Committee for the National Association of Counties. As we do have a couple of military installations, some in the city and some outside in the county, I think that's a pretty important group for me to be a part of and get some representation that we haven't had in a little bit in Saratoga Springs. We also have a lot of military and veteran personnel living in the city. So if there are any concerns from the commissioners or anyone else in the city with regards to Veterans Affairs, getting medical attention, that sort of thing, please feel free to contact me, and I will see what I can do.
Great. Thank you, Supervisor. Good information. I have one more announcement to make, that our September 17th City Council meeting is on Monday, and it will be here at the City Council meeting. We'll do pre-agenda in the morning, and we'll have the council meeting on that evening. So that would be on Monday, not Tuesday. And if there's any other business, everybody good? Then we are adjourned. Thank you.
Public Affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.